Welcome back to the Cain and Day Show. I am your host, Cain. You can find me on Twitter at Killing Cain and YouTube at Killing Cain. Ben is out of the office today, so we have someone special filling in. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Call me CoachRed. You can find me on Twitter at the Real CoachRed. Go check out my podcast, Kicking It with CoachRed, and fix your franchise. Fix it.
So, we had week 8 come and go, and we had the trade deadline happen today. And I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of things that happened today. So I think
Before you go into it too crazy, what's your most impactful move for teams this year today?
what's the most impactful? I would say Miami. Miami making the move for Bradley Chubb. Adding to that defense that really needs a pass rusher. Well, you finally got a guy that's a menace on the defensive end. He is fast, he's strong, he kind of plays like a Von Miller type player, and you're going to get a lot out of him, especially with that young Miami team.
Yeah, Miami said F them picks. We don't need no picks.
Right? I mean, you look at their team, right? You've got two
Before
guys.
the Laramie Tunsil trickle down effect is in full effect here. I mean, you had the 3 first rounders for Tunsil, then you traded one of those first rounders to the 49ers to get their 3 first rounders, and you turned those 3 first rounders and other pieces into Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too shabby. Thank you, Laramie Tunsil.
So, the one thing I see with this Miami team now, it's like you've got two guys that can get 1,500 plus yards apiece. And with the other move they made with going to get Jeff Wilson, you got two running backs that can almost reach 1,000 apiece as well.
Well, I think it's a little tougher, but you look at Jeff Wilson, being in that style of offense with the 49ers going and getting run CMC makes it a big move and a big piece for Mike McDaniel's led offense. And Jeff Wilson knows it inside and out.
Right, exactly. And that's
Even Mostert.
They're getting the band back together. you know? And another impactful trade that happened today, which I think might help the Bears out, is getting Chase Claypool. You're getting a guy. I mean, he can't really catch the ball, but we'll see how he fits in a new scheme.
Well, I mean, he's obviously going to get early targets with Mooney and was it Equimani St. Brown's out there?
Yeah.
Those are their two real guys besides Cole Kmet. So there's obviously targets to go around, but it doesn't help when you've got Justin Fields who can't be protected. So I think you're going to see a lot what you saw with Chase Claypool early in his year, short to the line of scrimmage, get that yak, get a little gadgety with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you might actually see some of that Debo type stuff going on because this is going to be and has been and actually outperformed their typical play this last weekend.
Right.
But they're going to be run heavy. And I think that Chase Claypool is going to need to block his tail off. But them getting him for a second rounder was a fleecing. That is insane.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper went for a 5th. Granted, there's more money tied up there. But, I mean, you're getting a rental player for a second. He blew up the wide receiver trade market today because nobody was doing business after that.
No. And then I think probably the second biggest trade of the day is Hawkinson going to the Vikings. That's huge. Not only now you have Justin Jefferson, but the talent that Hawkinson brings into this locker room now, that's scary. Especially for if you're Green Bay and you didn't make any sort of move today.
I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of teams that didn't make those moves. My kind of under the radar move that I think helps a big time Super Bowl contender is the Bills going and getting Naheem Cheeky Hines because and unloading Zach Moss in return. Zach Moss just wasn't fitting in. He's more of that downhill type of guy, one cut type of guy. And although they drafted, James Cook, that first fumble on his first touch of the year has really lost a lot of trust. That you can see hasn't really been getting the touches, and Hines can get you some of that outside run, but where the Bills are going to make their hay is in the passing game and having a good back that you can play on those early downs that can slash outside and also be a versatile option in the pass catching game. I think is huge.
Right. And then there are two trades that happened, during the last week, and
No, this week we didn't even talk about Roquan Smith going to the Baltimore Ravens.
That's huge. It's huge for them.
Because the Ravens defense has not been what you expected to be.
I mean, they've gave up a lot of, second half comebacks this year, and have not won those games. So you see them adding a big defensive piece, and I like the move. It's gonna bolster it a little bit. So, and then the last, then you have two trades that happened last week, where you had the Chiefs got Tony, Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, just put something on tape, young blood, before I give you a take. Leaving it at that.
And the Eagles traded for Robert Quinn, which is a great trade for them.
Under the radar. Good move.
That's all they're doing. So I think that just kind of recaps most of the big moves that happened today. We forgot that Calvin Ridley, even though suspended, got traded.
Good move.
Didn't know that could happen, but
yeah.
Hey.
Have you seen Deshaun Watson get dealt at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, but he wasn't suspended yet.
He's on the commissioner's exempt. Oh, no, he wasn't. They paid him to not come in to the Texans last year. That's right.
Yeah.
Every penny.
Yeah. So there's that. It's a great trade deadline. Love to see it. I knew this one was going to be huge, and it kind of was. So let's kick it off, starting with Thursday's game, Ravens versus Buccaneers. So the Bucs just, I don't know, man. There's just something about them, and they are not looking good. A lot of off-the-field stuff for Tom Brady's probably affecting it. But, man, they, like you said multiple times, they keep trying to run back that team, and it's just not working.
Yeah, my tagline for this game is Tommy ticking time bomb, because Father Time's ticking. You've got volatility of this team. You're seeing some big-time players go down with injury. Shaq Barrett out for the season. You lose Gronk, which was his favorite target, and you think you're going to get a lot out of Cameron Brate. He's been banged up. Cade Otton playing more and more of a role, not so much in this game Thursday, but you see times where Godwin's not on the field. There's times where Mike Evans has a bad drop, which you typically don't see, and he has not gone on the same page with Russell Gage, and the defense isn't looking nearly as dynamic as it has in the past, like when they made that Super Bowl run.
Right.
But all credit to Isaiah Likely and the Ravens by doing some stuff, and I think the best thing to come out of that game was everyone starting to troll Russell Wilson. There was a little clip of them talking to Justin Tucker, and he's like, yeah, I think Lamar's going to lead us in some high knees here soon. Raven flock, let's fly.
That was so good.
Unlimited.
So good. I got a kick out of that one. Justin Tucker's the most lovable dude probably in all of sports.
The dude's just bullets and nails, man. That guy is just ice running through his veins.
Yeah, he's amazing. And just to see him, like, take a shot, and he's, kickers usually sit with the punters and stuff, but he's sitting with the whole team because he's just loved. Like, that's pretty special.
And Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team must have heard the pod last week, because they doubled their pass attempts. 39 out of Lamar.
Yeah, I saw him actually throwing well. So, next game, though, we got Broncos and Jags in London, across the pond. still, this Broncos team, even though they got the win, I just don't have any faith in them. Russell Wilson looks bad. He's got two great wide receivers. And
Great.
Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are great.
Neither top 15.
Well,
They ain't great. They're good. They're not great.
he's just not using them like they.
Greg Dulcich is trending up after this game. Big time. He had a big drive. I mean, he's trending up, but this is the same debate that they said, this is going to be the year where Russell has his best weapons. And you had Cortland Sutton, who's played with injury and is good when he's on the field. Jerry Jeudy had a case of the drops and then injury. KJ Hamler's never got started. Their tight end room is a mystery. And you compare that to the likes of guys he's played with, like Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, is not even close.
Right.
And the pedigree and the talent that you've seen put in the results you've seen on the field. So I think that them keeping Jeudy is a big sign of confidence in Russell Wilson, and that they can maybe turn it around and kind of make that playoff push. But they've got to do a little bit more offensively. They got to get creative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I turned this game on early, and I took a break because it was pretty boring. And I turned it on late for the dramatics.
Right, and the big thing is he's dealing with a lot of the things he dealt with in Seattle. He doesn't have a really good O-line. It's just
his O-line was supposed to be top 10 offensive line in the league.
Yeah,
it's the welcome to preseason narratives.
Yeah, it's not looking out like you wanted it to. And maybe it turns around because they got Chase Edmonds now to kind of throw into that running back room. It might help their run game a little bit, but I don't know how much it helps. So we'll see in these coming weeks how this meshes. But I just don't think the Broncos are going to have anything very good this year.
Yeah, but I think I saw a tweet about this game, and probably was the best tweet that I saw this weekend. And a Jaguars fan posted, for Halloween this year, I'm going to dress up as a Jaguars fourth quarter lead so I know I'll get blown.
Yeah, dude. Like
ETN was a beast, man. Again,
he continues to be.
yards.
He continues to be. And with them getting Calvin Ridley for at least next year, will probably pan out. But
Ridley, Kirk, and ETN are going to be a pretty decent little trio on a young team.
Yeah, and, I'm going to hold out now that they got Calvin Ridley. We'll see how Trevor Lawrence plays next year. But, I'm not sold on him yet.
Yeah, and my tagline for this one is they played this game in London because no one wanted to wake up early enough to watch it.
That's fair. It's a fair tagline. Then let's go over to next game, which is Dolphins and Lions. The Dolphins came out swinging.
The Lions came out swinging. The Lions.
They went up 14-0.
Track meet.
They went up 14-0 early. Jamal Williams continues to shine, and I pretty sure I saw DeAndre Swift in the game, but
he caught a touchdown pass first quarter.
But man, Jamal Williams is a dog.
Yeah, if you're a scared little puppy, go ahead and piss on the porch.
Just if this offense can get rolling for the Lions, we've seen them score a lot.
27 points should win you a game in today's NFL.
It should, but the Dolphins just have probably the best wide receiver duo in the league.
This game was 27-17 at half, and then Detroit gets blanked in the second.
Yeah.
And Waddle and Hill. Oh man, Waddle had what, 3?
Mm-hmm.
That was something to see. But man, this game was like on NFL Red Zone. It was like, okay, we're going back to Detroit.
It's crazy.
It was great.
Like,
it was great TV.
And I've said this before. If Tua just can fine tune his throw, he's gonna be up there. Like, I've seen him throw a lot of open body passes, and you don't get a lot when you open yourself up. So maybe once he gets that shoulder pointed and can follow through on a throw, I think he'll be just mint.
I think I've said it in the past. You know what you're getting. You're going to get very competent short to intermediate game. The long ball is going to be the problem. There was a big pass play to Tyreek Hill where deep ball, it's underthrown. Tyreek makes a good play on ball to come back and get it. And because he was looking back, was able to make that adjustment. But that's a ball where, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen are leading that wide receiver, and Tyreek's walking into the end zone at the end of it, not having to come back and adjust.
Right.
You knew the limitations physically with Tua, and you felt confident enough because of how he was able to orchestrate with elite talent at Alabama. And this is the closest he's had to elite talent on offense since he's been in the NFL.
And I agree with that. And, they're great defensively. They're great offensively. And I just see them creating a bloodbath if Tua stays healthy. If he can stay on the field the rest of the year, they're a problem to deal with. So, but this Lions team, they need to get a little bit better on the defensive side. Probably get a little bit better of an O-line, and they should be okay.
Their O-line's top 5. Their O-line is studly.
Yeah, they keep losing games.
They have 4. They have 4. They have like 4 at their positions, like 4 guys that are all in like the top 5 or 10 at their positions. Their offensive line is very solid.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes when you get shut out, it's not great. So, like I said, there's still a lot of year left. I mean, they're gonna be picking probably in the top 10.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when Jameson Williams gets on the field too, to add another big time play maker.
Yeah, that's right. They do have him. The next game was the battle for the 1 seed, or not the 1 seed, but first place in the NFC South. And man, this game, 37-34.
Got hot late.
Sure did. Well, you look at
Atlanta.
I'm gonna talk about the Panthers first, but Donta Foreman, really good. He's really good, and he's always been a backup.
Not anymore.
No, he's really good. PJ Walker slinging the ball. Yeah, he's playing way better than Baker did. And
DJ Moore almost wins them the game, then loses them the game with taking the helmet off to make that extra long, and then hopped off red zone, so I didn't see the end of it. But apparently, Pinheiro shanked a 37-yarder that led to Koo kicking the game winner.
Yep, it sure did. But this Falcons team, man,
how do they win? I don't understand it. Like, they finally threw the ball a little bit more to their playmakers, and they're doing it without Cordell Patterson at the running back position. And name me 4 people on their defense.
Can't do it.
I got you got Grady Jarrett. You've got, I think, AJ Terrell that they drafted early. I saw him on the field in one play, so I know he's there. Arnold Ebiketie, which was their 2nd-round draft pick this year. I think they said, I don't even know. I don't know who's on this team.
Yeah.
But somehow they have – I don't get it.
I mean, and then they just offloaded, a guy that you would think would come back next year and help this team be fantastic on offense. So now, you're just rolling with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, hoping that they can get the job done, but he's throwing to other people, I suppose.
I'll say this. Demary Bird had probably one of the best touchdown catches of the weekend, where it was 15, 20-yard comeback route, and then he takes off across the field like he shot out of a cannon, and no one touched him. He's on the far right, comes back for the ball, outruns corner and safety, gets to the corner for a 47-yard touchdown that no one thought was going to be going to the house.
Yeah, I mean, this Falcons team is putting up points, and it's given Mariota some life. Because you saw how beat up he got with Tennessee. And then, he left or got traded. And then he was with the Raiders. And then the only time he was in the game was when he would run the ball. He never threw the ball. And now he's getting his shot with Atlanta to say, hey, I still got some life in me. And I'm excited to see him be out on the field. It's a nice little surprise. And my hat goes off to him that he's still out here trying to win. So, we'll see. They're number one in the division now.
What they say, the NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah.
Not for long.
And then our next game, Kyler stayed up a little too late playing COD. And they lost the game to the Vikings. So, the Cardinals just shouldn't be this bad.
Well, this is kind of the Cardinals you see towards the second half of the season. You typically don't see them like this in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And I think that they ran into a team that there was some question marks on how they had their record, with one loss and new head coach. But you're seeing good things out of the Vikings. I mean, they've always been a solid team. They're a very solid team last year. Mm-hmm. And, with them now getting a TJ Hawkinson to fill probably their biggest void offensively. And their defense is pretty solid all the way across the board. So, but you look at Arizona, you feel that they're pretty solid pretty much across the board. They're missing, James Conner. So that does hurt a little bit.
They're also missing Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, but you basically brought Marquise Goodwin in for
insurance. Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Marquise Brown. You bring him in for insurance until T-Hop got back, and then for them to hopefully play together. But then you replace him with Robbie Anderson.
Right.
You still got A.J. Green. So this team should be doing better than it is. But I think what this really boils down to is probably their biggest area of concern for a while has been the cornerback position ever since Pat Pete left to go to the Vikings. Pat Pete had some things to say for Steve Keim afterwards where he's like, I'm still waiting for a call back. When I was a free agent, he said he's going to call. Still waiting. Ready for that meeting. And we're doing it face-to-face. That's all I'm giving you guys. Like, if he wants to talk, he knows where I'm at.
Right. Like
that's where their downfall's been.
Yeah. And, he went to the Vikings, and he's still being not as dominant as he used to be, but he's still putting in the work.
Vikings are running away with the division.
Oh, for sure. Hands down. And it's the first time Green Bay hasn't had the division in years. So it's going to be interesting to see it, especially if they get at least like a 2 seed or something like that. There's a couple other teams that could get into that, but as of right now, the Vikings are really good, and just the Cardinals are not. I don't know. I think you have question marks with Kyler.
I have question marks with Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think
that's true.
Super well coached.
I don't either, and I just don't.
You threw Brian Daboll on this team might be undefeated right now.
I can agree with you on that. So our next game here, Bears and Cowboys.
A lot closer than I expected.
Yeah, only lost by 20.
It was closer until late. I mean, Tony Pollard said, I'm coming out today.
Dude, I think Tony Pollard is a better running back than Zeke.
He's younger.
Yeah.
Less wear and tear on the body. I think that you could really see this being a very good 1-2 punch like you saw. Let's look at Denver last year when you had Melvin Gordon that came in his lead and you had rookie Javonte Williams. By the end of the year, they both had about 900 yards, and they're a solid 1-2 punch. When you looked at Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram earlier in his career, solid 1-2 punch can do a lot of things for you. I think that you can get that because when you look at Dak, he really feasts or famines how he does on his connection with CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that getting more of that play action pass, you can get your tight ends involved even more. You can get Michael Gallup involved more.
Yeah.
And hopefully, get that lead and wear it out kind of like they did this game.
Right. And, I was having a conversation about this defense that they have. I was talking about Dan Quinn. And I was like, look at what Dan Quinn has done with 3 different teams. He had the Seahawks defense amazing. Legion of Boom. Everybody was terrified of him. Then he went to Atlanta, was their head coach. In the year they made the Super Bowl, their defense was impeccable. Then, they lost. He had a couple losing seasons, couldn't get back to that form. Got fired, went to Dallas to be their defensive coordinator. And he turned this defense into an elite defense.
Yeah, but I think that also has to do a little bit with players. I mean, you had Trayvon Diggs on the team, and he kind of sparked it with a little bit more turnover play than he had in years past. But he still gets eaten up. Not as much this year. It's been a little bit better on getting eaten up. But you also look, he's not taking those risks to get as many interceptions.
Right.
But I think the key cog, because you had Lawrence on the team.
Yep.
But Michael Parsons has been that Swiss Army knife that has ratcheted them up defensively because
he's amazing.
It's not just X's and O's. You got to deal with the Jimmys and Joes as well. So having an elite talent like Michael Parsons and the versatility he brings you to drop into coverage and come off that edge is huge for this team.
Right. And with this Bears team too, what I think needs to happen is they need to play more to Justin Fields' strength, which is kind of running around doing that whole thing, because that's what he did in college. He's never been a pocket passer. He's been a run and gun type of guy. And I think if you can utilize him with running the ball, because he's quick. He's pretty quick and he's smart. But if you can get him running, I think they put up 29. And you have the 2 running backs who are kind of breaking out. David Montgomery's coming back. And then what's his name? Herbert?
Khalil Herbert.
Yeah. Khalil Herbert might be looking like he's special.
That line is so shaky. I mean,
Kevin for sure.
Is kind of like, this is where getting a Chase Claypool hurts you, is they didn't have a first round pick last year. They had 2 second rounders. They went defensive backfield. And then they went and got Riley Reif, I believe, to play right tackle. Riley Reif's, lost playing time on the Bengals last year down the stretch. So when you look at this team, they have to go offensive line with the first pick. But in going and getting Chase Claypool, I would have loved to see them get a guard or center with their second round pick. That's off the table right now. And you got a guy that's Gidget, like a Gidget, Gasmic, whatever you want to call it. Like, this, go get big time players. I mean, Santana Moss, big time players, big time plays, big time games. And right now, you tell me one of those wide receivers that you could sit there and go, this guy is going to go win us a ball game. I don't think you can do that.
It was supposed to be Darnell Mooney, but
slot receiver. It's not Julian Edelman with Tommy taking time bombs thrown to him.
No, but I agree. They need to adjust that line. And that is the huge part, because I mean, you just see it week in, week out. Justin Fields is running for his life, and he is getting abused. He's been abused all last year. He's getting abused this year, and
you got to get him some protection before he's broke.
In years past, it's exactly what we've seen with these up-and-coming quarterbacks, that the more they get hit, I mean, Carson Wentz, prime example. He played fantastic until he got hurt. Then he got hurt again, and then he got hurt again, and then he got hurt again.
The same thing was the offensive line was banged up that year when he got banged up, because they went to the Super Bowl the year before.
Right. But
I think if you look with Justin Fields in particular, the Bears did a disservice for the future because they weren't ready to take a quarterback yet. They weren't there. And they traded assets to move up to get Fields. They traded assets to move up in the second round to get Tevin Jenkins because they thought they were close enough by what they did with Mitch Trubisky and what they were able to get. And they thought, if I have a more dynamic quarterback, we can basically run the same team out there and get better results. But
it's just not the case.
It's not the case at all. So you look at that team where they mortgaged a little bit of the future to try and capture something now, and what they thought was going to be a down year in that division, and it just hasn't panned out for them. And they're continuing to do it. I think it's what Ryan Pace is up there. I think that dude probably has one of the hotter seats as a GM right now in the league.
I would agree with you. I mean, he brought in what's his name, Crazy
Matt
Eyes.
Eberflus.
He had Adam Gase there for a while, and Mr. Crazy Eyes himself. I mean, he was there last year, and just did not show any concern about Justin Fields, and most of the reason why he got banged up, just didn't really care. You got a new coach in there, hoping that it would fix things. Didn't. I agree. Pace is on.
The defense playing better.
Defense is, but GM definitely on the hot seat. Should probably get one new one in the offseason. Just, you got to make a team better. You're the Bears, one of the most storied franchises to ever be in existence. I mean, it's just a tough scene to see. And then our next game wasn't very exciting, but the Saints absolutely rolled the Raiders.
I think there was some rumors out there. Devontae Adams had been sick all week, and there was an illness going through the locker room, and you got to think that played a role a little bit. But nothing sees me more happy than seeing Joshy Boy McDaniels fail in the AFC West again. I hope that he does so bad that he goes back to being the offensive coordinator, because they're basically placeholding for him in New England. And when Belichick retires, they don't give him the job because I think he's a shitty human being.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
but Saints took care of business.
You come in.
Alvin Kamara, love that guy.
Yeah, sure do. By the way, Alvin Kamara helped me beat you this week. So, zero
touchdowns on the year and 3 in 1 week. Great for Alvin Kamara.
Great for me, not for you. Yeah, came out. Alvin Kamara had himself a fantastic game. You're still waiting for Michael Thomas to step on the field, which hopefully is coming soon, because this Saints team is not bad. They're not bad. And
not that good either, though.
I don't think any team in the NFC South is very good. But I think as a coach hot seat, yeah, he's on the hot seat for the Raiders. He is
already. God, I want him to be gone so bad.
And
I want the Raiders to do good.
You've heard players come out and say, his playbook is tough, really tough, and it's you just need
Mac Jones picked it up.
Sure did, but it's hard because you have arguably one of the best receivers in the league.
Top 5.
And then you got Josh Jacobs back last week, and he absolutely opened it up. And this week, he just... no traction.
Shut it down.
No traction whatsoever. This Raiders team
tough
really...
to run the ball when you're down that big, though.
It is. And, you're dealing with Hunter Renfrow being injured a lot, too. Darren Waller can't stay healthy.
But Mac Hollins is beasting a little bit.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder, well...
I'm shocked the defense isn't better.
Yeah, they did a lot.
You have Mad Max, and you have Chandler Jones rushing your defensive backfields a little bit. You got Trevor Morig back there. You've got your corners that you've drafted early have been playing better.
Not to mention that they traded for a corner before the season started, too.
I mean, they should be better.
Should be, but
better.
And then our next game, the best team in the NFL just came out, handled business as always. Jalen Hurts is really good.
No, AJ Brown.
Oh yeah, him too. And then he got drug
AJ
tested the
Brown
next day.
just sat there and owned double coverage. He owned it.
He said, "Hey, Minka, get over here. I'm gonna moss you." So
I think what this game also displayed is they put Kenny Pickett in too early. If you were going to draft him, you brought in a bridge quarterback and Mitch Trubisky. Let Kenny Pickett learn.
and the fact that
Not ready.
they sat Mitch for him that early, especially like he's a running quarterback. He in the way that Mike Tomlin wants to run his offense is a quarterback that stays in the pocket, and that's not Kenny Pickett's specialty. I mean, you saw him run at Pitt. They had to make a rule for him because he did the fake slide, and the dude can do a lot.
Mitch runs quite a bit too, but I think with his time, he knows when to run. He learned that by being behind Josh Allen.
Yes.
You know when to run, or if they call a designed quarterback run. But Josh Allen, when he doesn't have pressure, he's not boot scooting boogieing around that pocket. He's staying tall and he's making throws.
And he's looking through his reads. Like, it's just how it goes. But man, this Steelers team just cannot figure it out. Kenny Pickett's not throwing to George Pickens, which is wild because Pickens is really good, and they're just not using him.
Have to now.
I mean, they've got Freiermuth getting into the equation a little bit. I mean, Najee, he's not having himself a good year either, which you coming in from last year. Najee Harris just kind of took off at the start of things.
Well, no, he kind of took off because they fed him the ball more than damn near every running back in the NFL.
Yeah, but man, this team is just bad. And then you go to the Eagles side, everything's clicking. Hurts is throwing the ball. A.J. Brown's just hauling it in. You got Devonta out there. I mean, not to mention Miles Sanders looking fantastic. So this Eagles team and their defense is just so good.
They made so many good moves. Getting guys for bargain deals, getting Darius Slay, getting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, getting those type of guys. Now bringing Robert Quinn as an under-the-radar type guy. I mean, this team has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, they sure have. And I'm here for it. As me and Ben always say, it's always Jalen Hurts season.
I thought you were going to say it's always sunny in Philadelphia. That would be better.
Philly is still...
Right now it is.
Philly is the hottest sports town in their city in the entire world.
Philadelphia is so hot right now.
Let's see. I mean, the Phillies are up 7-0 in the top of the 8th, so I'm sure they're fucking just wilding right now. So... keep doing you, Philly. I don't know if a team in the NFC can beat you because your team
I think there's teams that can beat them in the NFC. They're not going to go undefeated to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well.
It's not going to happen.
They're showing pretty good strength right now. I mean.
Not going to happen.
We'll see what happens, but I agree. I agree.
Are you bold taking they're going to go undefeated to the Super Bowl unless they lose to an AFC team in non-conference?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good take. Good take.
Then you go over to the AFC East matchup where you had the Patriots come out and actually win. So
big turnaround after getting the absolute pants beat off them by the Bears. But I think that this week you saw a lot of those teams that you wondered why they had such a good record and where they've been relying on the fourth quarter not come true. And that's what happened. I mean, Zach Wilson, they got 3 picks in that game, and the Patriots did just enough to win.
Right. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is an absolute monster for that team. He is single-handedly putting the team on his back and carrying them into the end zone. He is fantastic, and you know, there was a big question mark on who was going to be the leading back coming into the year, and Ramon J just kind of took off with it. And you know, this Jets team, very good all around. They're just really young, really young, and I heard some dwindlings of maybe Mac Jones getting dealt throughout this week or throughout the weekend. So a team I saw, I didn't think it was going to happen. He's in year 2. There's no reason to move on from him because Bailey's happy's there. It's weird that they took another quarterback, but hey, you got to have a backup, right?
Hey, back when they were the Redskins, they drafted Robert Griffin III second overall and went in the 4th round and drafted Kirk Cousins. So,
that's true.
Same draft.
That's true. But yeah, I didn't think he was getting traded, but the only place that they were saying that he could go would have been the Colts. So, but it didn't happen. Patriots get a big dub in the division. I mean, the Jets still, I think, have a better record than they do. So, it's going to be kind of a... The Dolphins should run away with it. They should.
With second place, yes.
But, oh, yeah, that's right. I forget the Bills are there because the Bills are just awesome. Then Malik Willis got himself the start and got himself the win.
He did not look very good.
I don't think he is very good. I mean,
he's got the tools to be there, but he's not ready to play in the NFL yet.
I don't think so. I mean, he was projected a first-round top pick and didn't go. And then he slipped. And I mean, I was on the phone with you telling you he's going to fall past the 4th. And he did. And you're going up against a sorry Texans team who just
I thought they were good.
No. They're just bad. They're bad. And I just...
Yeah, and Brandon Cooks wasn't at practice today in anticipation of getting traded, and he didn't. He's not happy right now.
No, he is not. You're just kind of... I feel bad for Brandon Cooks for how much he's been moved around in his career.
That dude is the best player in the world. He's been traded for so many first-round picks. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not bad.
Gotta love it.
He's not bad.
He's good.
Exactly.
He's just small and not very durable.
Right. The fact I'm shocked that he didn't get moved today, and I don't know why you keep him, especially.
I know why he didn't get moved today, because Chase Claypool went for a second rounder.
Yeah, I
At
guess.
this point in Brandon Cook's career, he wasn't going to get another first-round pick traded for him. He probably weren't getting a second rounder. And after they saw what Claypool did, where Brandon Cooks is more established, there's no way that anyone was going to match. Houston was probably sitting there with, a sparkle in their eye, thinking they were going to get a second-round pick, and it wasn't going to happen.
No, it was not. And then our next game, Seahawks handled business again.
This was like a Jekyll and Hyde type of game for me, because not only did you have the Seahawks defense that has really turned it around from the absolute leaking bucket sieve that they were at the beginning of the year, but where the Giants have been ride or die is if they've been trailing in the 4th quarter, they were 4-0 on winning those games, and they fell flat. I mean, you look at in the 3rd quarter, Danny Nichols had 65 passing yards. Saquon Barkley, I think, ended with around 60 yards rushing. Late in the game, after the game kind of got out of hand, Daniel Jones started putting the ball down the field a little bit more. I think he still ended with under 200, but I don't know how this team had one loss.
I don't either.
And I feel bad for New York Giants fans that have to watch this, because at least like back in the day when we had Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, like there were glimmers, and sometimes it was a shootout and back and forth. But to just play this close trotting game, big shout out to Wink Martindale, because he had the Seahawks confused for about two and a half quarters. But the defense was on the field for so long because Seattle in the first half forced 4 3-and-outs, and I think that matches their total for the year. And they
Mm.
really did some things that stymied Daniel Jones, that stymied, Saquon Barkley. None better than Bruce Irvin breaking in the backfield and blasting Daniel Jones and knocking Saquon Barkley on his ass on a
Yeah,
counter play.
Bruce Irvin
Nothing
looks like
better.
he went back to the Legion of Boom form.
Yeah, Bruce Irvin just proved that he's going to be, since that was his second practice squad call up, that he's going to be signing a contract with the Seahawks because they can't afford to lose him. Him
No.
matched up with Chinyu Nwosu has been pretty awesome to see the last 2
And,
weeks.
let's talk about Nwosu running down the field, covering somebody, and breaking the pass up.
Yeah, that somebody was Saquon Barkley.
Exactly. Wild. And then you go to the offensive side of the things. You were getting question marks with Tyler Lockett. You were getting question marks with DK. How much are they going to be involved with the injuries that they have? And, Tyler Lockett, one of the guys who doesn't drop the ball, dropped a big time catch going for a touchdown, but then he redeemed himself later, caught one. DK did DK Metcalf things. Kenneth Walker kind of got a little stuffed. He had that one amazing run, and I'm pretty sure I sent you the TikTok of DK on that run. He,
Yeah, the fake fade.
yeah, and then he, while the quarterback's on him, he's like, this fucking guy.
The crazy thing about Tyler Lockett, you talk about the miscue, and he had that drop where he could have walked into the touchdown. So, saw some stats on this. That is Tyler Lockett's first drop in 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got stripped at the 5 with the fumble that led to the Giants' touchdown in the first half, that was his first fumble of his career.
Yeah.
It was a historically bad day, but he redeems himself late.
Right. And then the defense, Kobe Bryant hit.
They threw it to Tariq Woolen 2 times.
Yeah. He
Mike Jackson was just laying hat on wide receivers left and right because Tariq Woolen didn't have the opportunity, because Daniel Jones did not throw to his left the entire first half of the football game.
Yeah. I thought Tariq was going to get another one this week. I really thought he was.
It's really tough when there's 2 balls thrown at you. One was when they were playing soft coverage and he comes up and makes the tackle.
Yeah,
and then there was the one that Slayton, they're like, oh, Slayton ripped out of his hands. No, Tariq Woolen was getting in there to break it up, and the ball was in Slayton's hands.
Yeah.
He just met him at the point. Slayton was there a hair earlier and was able. Tariq Woolen did ball hawk things by trying to go for the ball, and that was a good probably 16, 17-yard gain.
Yeah, and then, the Geno Smith revenge tour just keeps happening. Just keeps happening.
On rolling.
It's great to see. The Giants side didn't really do anything too spectacular. They kind of stopped Saquon. They stopped Daniel Jones. He couldn't run. They got
good pressure on Geno. That was some of the better pressure that Geno's experienced this year.
Right, and we were sitting there, and, Mom and Dad were here, and Dad was just like, well, I'm not going to be sold on Geno until he can show that he can drive down the field in the fourth quarter. And what's the next possession he did? He drove down the field and scored a touchdown. So I was like, you can put your money where your mouth is now, Dad? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. So, a great game by the Seahawks, though. See how long it lasts, honestly. It's all we can sit here and do.
Yep.
Then you had Commanders at Colts. Sam Ellinger started the game. Didn't look too bad. Jonathan Taylor didn't do much, which is tough.
Taylor Heineke and Scary Terry coming up clutch in the fourth again. That's what it boils down to.
Dude, Terry McLaurin is so good. He's so good. And the fact that Carson Wentz could not throw him a ball was just outlandish. And I've said it from the start, Taylor Heineke's the key. He's the key.
I think that when you have a healthy Carson Wentz gives you more upside, because with Carson Wentz being healthy and being able to stay upright in the pocket, it gives you a better chance to win. You
Right.
you can Taylor Heineke, you know, you look back to when he started that playoff game after Alex Smith went down, and probably gave the Buccaneers, when Tom Brady won that Super Bowl down there, the best game in the playoffs, because he plays with a little bit of reckless abandon.
Mm-hmm.
He has that Brett Favre gunslinger in him, but he doesn't have all the tools to make all of the decisions that he does.
Right.
And there are times when you look at it, when you look at a guy that's going to be a backup, and you see this where Gino's kind of curbed that a little bit, is a backup will typically not be the reason you win the game, but they can be the reason you lose the game. And you can see that a little bit with Taylor Heineke last year when he got the extended run when Fitzmagic went down. He's had 2 back-to-back weeks of winning football, but they've been knockdown, drag-out games against 2 teams that that are very much underperforming this year.
I agree.
So it'll be interesting to see when Taylor Heineke goes up against the Eagles and the Giants and the Cowboys
Yeah.
in division.
I agree. Next game we got on dock here, 49ers, Rams. 49ers, Christian McCaffrey did everything he could to win this game. He threw a touchdown, he caught a touchdown, and he ran a touchdown in.
There was so much red in that stadium.
Oh, yeah.
This is the defending Super Bowl champions, and it was maybe 50-50 49ers Rams fan, and that might be generous to Rams fans.
Right, and this is in their stadium. It's just crazy. Like,
the 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl might still be hungover from it.
I do think that with the acquisition of CMC, it's gonna bring a lot more people. Like that was, it's wild, dude. He just brings a whole different game plan. And you had, during the week, you had Sean McVay saying, like, it's hard to plan for him because he can do everything. He is one of
Even throw a touchdown. He's the first NFL player to catch a touchdown, run for a touchdown, and pass for a touchdown in the same game. So suck on these, Taysom Hill. You can't even do this.
I personally think, when healthy, CMC is the best running back in the league.
He's the most versatile running back in the league when healthy. I wouldn't necessarily say best running back, because he offers you so much versatility where you don't even have to play him in the backfield.
Right.
I think if you're looking for like true running backs, there's a few guys that are going to be able to eat up more, not just hitting the edge, but going between the tackles. And that's what you need to be for a complete running back. But you saw with him running between the tackles in Carolina, that's not his game play. Carolina's doing it successfully right now with the same cast of characters along the offensive line, but that's not Christian McCaffrey's style.
And that's what Donta Foreman plays to, is run little, through the linemen. That's what he does. So, Rams just look bad. Matthew Stafford I think he doesn't even go through his reads. He just looks Cooper Kupp and is just like...
Tyler Higbee's been banged up. He has not. It's with Allen Robinson. I think you see a little bit of the Odell Beckham versus with Baker Mayfield thing, where he wants to try and get him the ball sometimes, but he's not looking that way because he doesn't have the trust. But luckily, he has Cooper Kupp, who's a reliable pass catcher for him, where OBJ was demanding targets and Baker tried to force it. I think Stafford's just not trying to force it. I mean, when you look, and Ben Skoranek is like your second leading wideout, it's not good.
Right. I just shocked that their defense is not good either. It's just bad all around, this Rams team. Like you said, Super Bowl hangover to the max. Like,
They aren't maxed out yet.
They cannot save themselves. They are drowning, and they are drowning quick. All right, Sunday night game. Aaron Rodgers just still doesn't have anybody to throw to. and
He
they're
was like his late drive was. I was checking it out on GameCast. Like I don't even know who Torre is.
I,
Who the hell is this guy?
I don't know. Like I got
I think
offered
I
a
think I think he was like after the last game, he had like a good physique while he was like sweeping the stadium after all the fans left. Like, hey, you wanna come catch some passes for us?
yeah,
Yeah, sure, love to.
they just I don't know, man. There's just something about them. It's not good.
It wasn't a good time to get a bounce back game playing the Bills, and this is what 4 straight losses for him.
Yeah. And
Not a
then,
good,
you
not good.
have Josh Allen out here being the MVP. Like, he is fantastic. He finally looks complete. You know,
Stephon Diggs balled.
oh, he always does. He always does. And then, you know, Gabe Davis is either hit or miss. He's either there or he's not. and
Yeah, but when he is,
oh
oof,
yeah,
look out.
and then they also have Dawson Knox. I like him. I like Knox. I think he's a good tight end. Not great, but he fits the role that he needs to play. And then
Yep.
you had the trio of running backs. Now you have Cheeky Hines and Devin
Singletary.
Singletary running the forefront there, and I just think this team got better, especially defensive side. I'm pretty sure they're still waiting on White to come back, and adding Von Miller is the key to your success because he is so well respected throughout this league that when he steps in the room, like that's his defense, hands down. He is the one who's gonna tell the.
He's the lightning rod to that team.
I agree.
That
Like,
jolt that they didn't have as a pass rusher.
right. It's shown. It's really shown. And I'm happy for this Bills team. Josh Allen deserves every little bit of credibility that anybody can give him. Because you look at from when he came into the league to where he is now, vast improvement. And he's a lot smarter now than he used to be. Just throwing the ball on a dime. And this offense and defense is scary. Packers just couldn't do anything about it, and it's sad because we've all known Aaron Rodgers to be this fantastic quarterback for the last 10 years, and
10 plus.
yeah, and coming off back-to-back MVP seasons, and he resorts to this like
It's so tough with the weapons. Like I was talking
right.
to somebody this week. I mean, when you go from Devontae Adams, Equanimeous St. Brown, and Alan Lazard being your 3 to Alan Lazard being your 1, you're relying on Romeo Dubs and unhealthy Christian Watson and oft injured Robert Tunyon, and then Cobb's out again. I think.
I mean, and then
and
you have Aaron
older.
Jones and uh their other guy like
Aaron Jones has been coming on strong as of late in the pass game and the run game. I think he had almost 150 yards on the ground,
I know
which is great to see.
it scared me in fantasy this week. It scared me.
I mean, but for the Green Bay Packers, like you want a dynamic 1-2 punch. I think that you can get that with these guys, but
It
for
doesn't work.
pass catch, it doesn't work when. I mean, Aaron Rodgers going into the fourth quarter again was sitting there with under 100 yards.
Mm-hmm. It's just
Insane.
it's not a good look for him. And then Monday night, the Browns just absolutely dismantled the Bengals. Like I almost won in my other league because T. Higgins didn't do anything until almost the fourth quarter.
Well, you look at Jamar Chase being down.
That
Chidobe
hurts.
Awuzie gets hurt in the game. Who's your best coverage guy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where you're built for strength. It'll be interesting to see what they do depending on how long he's out because you do have
He is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
well, you got Dax Hill that has versatility to play corner or safety. He's kind of filling in that safety nickel role. Might be time to put him outside to kind of stop the bleeding because you've got Eli Apple of your eye on the other side. You got a little bit of Trey Flowers that played pretty decently once going over to the Bengals last year. But kudos to the Brown. Jacoby Brissett's making some things happen. They had the first half was sloppy, not a lot of action. And then you looked at Jacoby Brissett getting more settled in, Nick Chubb doing Nick Chubb things, and then them continuing to feed the ball to Amari Cooper. And you traded a 5th-round pick to go get a number 1 wide receiver. And that's what you're getting out of him. He's playing like a number 1 for him, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly the dynamic picks up between him and Deshaun Watson when Watson gets on the field. But I think that with Cooper, you've got a strong tight end room, even with Njoku being out right now. This team offensively, and they've got some good pieces defensively too. They've been stacking up for a while, and this is a team that is another one of those teams that could make that run here in the second half, because you've got a couple of halves and you've got a lot of have-nots in both leagues. You got your top-tier teams, and then you've got a good amount of bottom-tier teams, and you've got a boatload of teams just slugging it out in the middle.
I agree. And then, on our conversations about 1-2 punch earlier, you also have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on this Browns team. And
Kareem Hunt staying around was big surprising move from today.
I was shocked to see that he wasn't on the move, because I heard that his name was floating around there. But
that was like Bill's wet dream.
Oh,
was Kareem Hunt.
But I'm sure they were asking too much for him, and just couldn't get the job done, which should work out for the Browns, though. I mean, Kareem Hunt has shown flashes of what he had in Kansas City, but it's hard to showcase it all when you're behind Nick Chubb.
Yeah, but there's been times where Nick Chubb's getting a lot of run, and then they give him the drive off and let Kareem Hunt roll, where there's been times where they both come close to 100 yards in a game. So, especially Jacoby Brissett's being a good distributor of the ball. He's being pretty effective. Donovan Peoples-Jones getting some run. You got Anthony Schwartz on this team as well. You've got Bryant there in the tight end room. Like, you got some pieces to work with.
Right, you do. And, I mean, to put up 32 on the Bengals, who,
Bengals are hurting.
They sure are. And, it's not a pretty scene.
They're also hungover. That's why we said, the Rams are hungover. Bengals might be a little bit more hungover right now, because they've lost some stinkers this year that they should not have lost, which they did last year. They lost to the Jets last year when they shouldn't have.
They lost to the Steelers week 1.
But the Jets were the only team, I think, last year to beat both of the teams in the Super Bowl.
Right. So
Mike White magic, baby. You just got elevated to number 2 on the depth chart. Mike White, comeback tour's coming, baby. Mike White part 2.
But overall, it was interesting trade deadline. Interesting week 8. You saw a lot of things that
the games weren't as interesting as the week before. A lot of it shook out how you expected it to shake out. Some of the score lines were closer than expected. Some were a little bit more exaggerated. But I think this week, besides, I kind of expected the Bengals to win. But I think the rest of the weekend, you could almost look at this thing going about chalk.
Yeah, I agree with that. But on that note, I think we're going to wrap up there. If you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Comment question of the day. Don't really have one today. Let's see. How about...
I'll have a question.
Go ahead.
If you were to score a touchdown, what would your touchdown celebration be?
Well, that's a good one. That is a good
one. I only ask good questions.
That's true. That is true. If you're listening over on Spotify, go ahead, give us a review, tell us how we're doing.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe as well. Also, hit us up on Twitter. We're always down for discussion. If you guys have any questions or just want to talk sports, we love to do that. HR isn't here today, so he's at the World Series, so I don't think he'll be interacting as much. But also, go listen to Kicking It with Coach Red and fix your franchise. Thank you for coming on, Coach. We really appreciate it. Glad you could fill in last second. And, we'll have you back on at some point.
It was so nice. We had to do it twice.
That's true. But this is the Cain and Day Show, and we will talk to you guys later.